How are we doing today, folks? My name is Wyatt. I'm the college conservative. Thanks for tuning in once again. So today, I want to talk about tariffs real quick. I'm going to try to get this video done. Just push out some points, go over them real quick. So I want to discuss tariffs and the harm they do to our economy. So today, Trump put a law into action that basically increases tariffs, steel and aluminum tariffs, on imports from China. And so I just want to go over that and why I heavily disagree with that. I think we should get away from trading with China, generally speaking, but I don't think tariffs is the right way to do it. So let's go over some reasons as to why tariffs aren't good. The first one, benefits some industries over others. So basically tariffs are just another way of a government subsidy, right? So it's going to benefit steel companies, aluminum companies, and just the steel and aluminum industry in general over other industries as well. As a true economist, you need to be able to take the blinders off and see how interconnected the economy really is. So not only is it going to just benefit just the steel and aluminum industry, but it's going to benefit industries that even have a small amount of actors, the small businesses that rely on aluminum and steel, because they can pay those prices more, which means other industries that don't have as many as big as actors, so to speak, or that have smaller actors as well, might be pushed out. That's another point I make in a second, because they can't afford the higher cost of steel and aluminum products. So it benefits some industries over others, more specifically here the aluminum and steel industry. It pushes out smaller actors. So it pushes out smaller actors, like I was just saying, not only in the steel and aluminum market itself, right? So if there's 10 steel companies, it might push out 2 or 3 of them, right? Which isn't good, because the bigger companies are able to afford the tariffs, are able to afford lowering their prices, because they can deal with the impending costs and the newly imposed costs due to the tariff. They can deal with that, so they can lower the prices more, right? They'll take a hurt at first, but what they're going to do is they're going to push out the smaller competitors who need to raise their prices more or need to keep their prices at what they are, right? Which is going to cause prices to go higher in the end when there's less actors. So it's going to push out smaller actors who can't afford to now pay more with steel and aluminum imports being higher, and who can't afford to compete with the bigger businesses who already meet some of the regulatory needs, or most of the regulatory needs, and who have just more employees in general, even have the money to offer more benefits now than the smaller businesses. So moving on, causes unemployment to rise. Obviously, when smaller actors are pushed out, it causes unemployment to rise. At first, when the big businesses are going to lower the prices, right, and even offer more benefits, they might have to push out some workers as well, and increase unemployment. So not only are the smaller businesses that might go out of work, and all their employees, but also some employees of the bigger businesses as well. Not only that, but other employees of other industries and other markets as well might be pushed out, because a lot of think of all the markets and all the products that need aluminum and steel. Not only that, but all the products that are made out of aluminum and steel. So not even little parts, but big parts as well. All of those businesses and industries that are connected with the aluminum and steel industry, they're going to hurt, and smaller actors in those businesses and those markets as well can be pushed out, right? Because the bigger businesses are going to be able to deal with the incurring costs that are imposed by the aluminum and steel because of the tariff on the imports from China now. So moving on. Causes prices to rise in every sector of the market. Now maybe I should say most sectors of the market, but I just put every sector. Maybe there's one or two that are kind of way out there that aren't necessarily going to be affected by this. I doubt that, because even if one business or one industry does not directly deal with the aluminum and steel industries, it might deal with a company that directly deals with the aluminum and steel industries, or it might deal with a company that deals with a company that directly deals with those businesses. And what happens is if the second businesses that directly deal with the steel and aluminum industry, if they have to now pay more for steel and aluminum, what happens there is now they're going to have to charge their products more, which means these people are going to have to pay more because they have to charge their products more. And that can cause unemployment in a chain reaction, if that makes any sense. And that can cause prices to rise in a chain reaction as well. So moving on, it hurts consumer power and purchasing power. Now consumer power and purchasing power are kind of similar, they're kind of not. The reason why the difference is because consumer power is how much how much choice you have on the market, how much your voice, how much your necessity is then correlated to the market and correlated to producers. Meaning, if you as a consumer want something, right, what's the best quality you're going to get it at, and what's the best price you're going to get it at, right? So now, if there's less options, now you just only have a few actors, a few businesses to go to, other than a host of them, where you can now compare and contrast between products and between just business ethics and so on and so forth. Now you have less people to deal with, so now you have less choices, right? So your consumer power is lower. So now you can be taken advantage of a little more, or you can be taken advantage of, rather than you taking advantage of your own money and using it where you want to use it. And then that goes to purchasing power. So with purchasing power, what that basically means is your dollar's worth less. Your dollar goes less. So let's say if you know a TV that you wanted was worth $500 today, right? Now it's worth $575 tomorrow because there's still an aluminum tariffs, right? Well, obviously that means you're spending $75 more, and that builds up over time, and that might even disincentivize you from wanting to buy that TV. You might just go with a different company. So basically what that means is you have less money to spend on other things, which means other other industries on the market are losing your money because you have to spend it more on another industry in the market. So what if you're planning on spending that $75 on a dinner somewhere, or the $75 on more clothes or whatever? That's $75 less dollars due to government intervention into the economy that you could be spending somewhere else, right? And you might think, okay, maybe $75, maybe even 50 cents when it comes to packs of gum, for example. But all of that adds up. Okay, we don't tend to see how much money that we are saving over time with prices being lower, with taxes being lower, right? We tend not to see that. We tend just to be very focused on the thing at hand and not throughout time how much we're actually saving. So my next point is can hurt the dollar, right? So it can hurt the dollar because now when you are having to spend more and gain less, that's obviously going to hurt the dollar. So if people don't want to invest in our economy, the dollar has to now be lowered because now we need to attract people to invest in us more, to do business with us more, other than our competitors like China, for example, who manipulates their currency all the time, very viciously, I might add. But basically, when our dollar is hurt, well, not only are you going to have to pay higher prices for steel and aluminum, and even steel and aluminum products that need steel and aluminum, you're not only going to have to be paying more in price, but you're going to have to be paying more dollar-wise too, because now those prices are higher, right? So we attract less investment, the tariffs are higher, which means now the company's going to have to charge more. Even if they're not charging more, now other companies are pushed out or are losing employees, right? Which means that your dollar is going to go less. So at first you might see a drop in prices just because the companies need to do that, but you're going to see a rise in prices when there's less actors, or you might see a rise in prices just like that, which is going to hurt your dollar. It's going to hurt how far your dollar can go, which means you can't spend it on other things that you otherwise would spend it on, which hurts the economy in total. Moving on. Inhibits trade with other nations, like I was just saying. Other nations are less incentivized or even de-incentivized to want to now invest into your economy, right? They'll go elsewhere, and so now that will hurt innovation. They'll hurt more jobs. They'll hurt more businesses. Being created, and it'll mean that now it's just a shift in spending, right? Or it's just an increase in spending by the American people, and they're getting less for it. So in America, in every country, it's either the people are spending or the government is spending, right? So now what's going to happen is the people are just going to have to spend more, right? So it's just increasing basically the spending of the people. So moving on. It inhibits investment, as I was saying, in economic growth and possibly innovation. So it's going to inhibit investment by other companies, by foreign companies, by foreign nations, into our nation, which creates jobs, and which makes prices lower and more efficiently made at a better price. It's going to harm economic growth, and obviously when people are investing less, and that when things cost more and the dollar is worth less, right? There's no wealth generated. There's no wealth generated at all, because now you might have more workers in the steel and aluminum industries, and the bigger ones at least. You might have more workers there, but now things are going to cost them more. And not only that, they can now possibly price gouge, which is another point I have below here, they cannot possibly price gouge because there's less actors in the market. Moving on. My next point. Opens the door to price gouging. When you have price gouging, obviously now consumers have to pay even more on top of what they already have to pay because of the tariffs, and on top of what they have to pay more because the dollar is now worth less. Right? Tariffs screw up a lot of stuff, people. They screw up a whole hell of a lot of stuff. It's basically just government subsidies. It's just a shift in spending, right? So the people are paying more, and the government is basically using the people's money to pay more into the steel and aluminum industries. And then that hurts innovation with my last point, because now if you have less money, companies aren't willing to, don't have as much money to innovate, aren't willing to take the risk, entrepreneurs aren't willing to invest and take the risk, and other companies and nations aren't really willing to come in and take that risk as well. Causes monopolies, when smaller actors are pushed out of certain industries, not just the steel and aluminum, but other countries that are very heavily dependent on steel and aluminum, even ones that might be more peripheral as well. They can be more monopolies created, or more monopolistic, because now certain actors can be pushed out, or smaller actors, or even has less employees, which means they're less competitive. And then finally can cause a trade war. So right now it's speculated, and or maybe not even speculated, but we're pretty certain that it's going to cause a trade war with China, maybe even some of their economic allies as well. We'll have to see, which would really suck, because it would mean that other products that don't deal with aluminum and steel, or don't directly depend on it, or aren't just directly that industry, are going to now have to pay higher tariffs, which means prices are going to get bigger, which means tariffs can increase and might increase in other places too. Which will not be good for America, will not be good for the American consumer, will not be good for the American worker, will not be good for American wages, will not be good for anything. It won't be good for anything. So here's what I think we ought to do. I think Nixon made a mistake in opening trade with China when he did, right? We should not have done that. B, what we need to do now is try to shift the production in China to its competitors, right? Taiwan, Vietnam. Now those countries don't have great track records either. I would rather not deal with them. But what I'm trying to say is we need to try to go, and Taiwan is basically heavily influenced by China, so maybe not even Taiwan. But what we need to do is we need to deregulate. We need to cut taxes more, cut corporation taxes more, cut red tape more. We need to really, really open up our markets and now offer different countries better deals. Different countries that are willing to make our products, or willing to make products for our companies, right? Or parts for products for our companies. We need to deal with them more instead of China, right? That's what we need to do. Because not only is this a national security interest, because now China is spending a lot more money on their military and growing their military very quickly, a lot quicker than Hitler was doing at his time. But also they're manipulating their economy. You know, you have problems with the South China Sea, which is a whole different issue. Anyways, getting to the point is what America needs to do is deregulate, make us a very business-friendly country to deal with. And then after we do that, we need to make deals with China's competitors, or with people that are willing to help us out, or with people that are already working with us. We need to now give them more money and have them build more stuff for us and move away from China. I'd like to see us move away from dealing with China in total, and just overall not deal with China at all when it comes to trade or production. I don't think that'll ever happen, unfortunately, because we're so deep now when it comes to production with them and trading with them and everything. But what we need to do is hurt China economically. And what we also need to do is realize that their currency manipulation is not helping them. Okay, we think it helps them, but it's not helping them. It didn't help. It didn't help Japan. It doesn't help America when we've done it in the past. It doesn't help us. It's a fake way of trying to make our economy look better and make it more competitive. So right now, the Chinese government, and I'm going to close out on this. The Chinese government is a rock and a hard place. Either right now they have to become more totalitarian and more authoritarian, or authoritarian and greater control of the economy, which looks like that's what they're doing with Xi Jinping now basically becoming the president for life, right? The president for life. Or they'd have to free up their markets more. So either in one way the government loses power, in one way the government gains power, which means now the people lose more freedoms, lose more production, and lose more trade, because now we're not going to want to deal with them, right? Which is going to hurt the production even more. Now, there's always going to be people that want to deal with China, but the U.S. and the West need to move away from dealing with China, need to move towards other friendly, pro-Western countries, or at least not anti-Western countries, right? That's what we need to do. We need to deregulate, make us a very business-friendly country that we haven't been for decades, which is why China has actually been able to increase its production, because America shot itself in the foot with their own economic policies, and so was Europe, by the way. So that's really what we need to do. So I want to get away from dealing with China like Trump, but I don't want to cause tariffs that are going to cause higher unemployment. They're going to cause the dollar to be worth less. They're going to cause less investment, less innovation, and they're going to cause prices to increase and monopolies. And by the way, folks, when monopolies grow, they deal with the government. That's what happens. When monopolies grow, they deal in hand with independent regulatory commissions to create regulations that'll hurt their competitors. That's just what happens, right? That's why we need a smaller government, and that's where we need more competition. Okay? More competition helps the consumer. Doesn't hurt them. Never fall for the lie that it's for the best of the consumer. That's always the lie of the left. That's always a point of the left, and it's always false. So, folks, I hope you come back. Please comment, like, follow me on Twitter at TCC1776. Follow me on Instagram. Share this video, comment on it, like, hate, doesn't matter to me. If you ever have any questions, please direct message me, or even comment and I'll make a video on it perhaps, or just direct message you back and answer your question. Thank you so much, folks. If you ever have anything you want me to make a video about, let me know. My name is Wyatt, and I'm the College Conservative.